making this video is going to hurt. As everyone knows, for the last few months, for the last couple of years really, I've been training towards sub 5 minute mile and a over 500 pound squat. Last year it didn't go well. Last weekend I attempted it again, and look, it didn't go well again. We changed some things. We had a phenomenal support team this year. So two of our friends flew in on Friday morning at 7 a.m. from the UK, along to kind of help out, to support me for the day, to help with running, pacing, to just be basically very, very good people for the next 2 days. I had another buddy, Pete. Pete was going to run as kind of prime pacer on the track. Pete's a phenomenal athlete, and you'll see kind of his stride later and his speed that he's running at. Obviously we had Gurph there, and then we had my original weightlifting coach, Paulie Lillis, was there as well for the later half of the day. And of course, my girlfriend Aifric was there to support the whole time. So we had unbelievable support team on the day. How the kind of general run of the day went is, I attempted it on the track at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was very, very warm. It didn't go well. Kind of midway through the second lap, just cramped up. Couldn't really control temperature. Cramped up far too much. Pace was kind of bang on. We were a small bit too fast on our first lap, as tends to be when you're going for the 1609 meters. You tend to go out a small bit hot. That was okay. Just cramped up on the second lap, and there was nothing really you can do. So you can see that now. How did the walk around feel, Rob?
Lovely.
Yeah.
You got a lovely bit of shade in that side.
Yes. You could just extend the shade all the way over.
Yeah, well, if I can just run with a parasol.
Yeah.
Round the corner.
I leave that fit. He's a good mannerism with people. I don't.
I'm a bit lucky.
I'll be like, look, it's booked for one, you'll have to get off.
Yeah.
It's fit to have like a very amicable way, like, Jesus, we're after doing something there. No, one, would you be able to?
So the spike.
Stay on your toes and you get more grip.
What's the purpose of the tape he was putting?
That's this kind of. All good? How you feeling?
Yeah.
That wasn't the pace, is it?
No.
Alright, I was like.
Hello. How are you?
How you feeling?
Good, yeah.
Warm-up's done.
Glad that wasn't the pace.
What pace is that?
4 minute mile.
Is that a warm-up?
We jumped to go to leave it,
Yeah, I was wondering.
No, it's good.
but better not than too slow.
Oh, 100%.
You try to run as hard as possible at the start, right?
Yeah.
Or if I run in front of you like a wind,
Yeah.
wind tunnel.
That's what I'm going to use Pete as.
Yeah, you could do that.
What height are you, Pete?
6'5".
6'5". Jesus. What do you
That
fit?
is in centimeters. Might tell me.
3?
2 and a bit, 2 and a 3.
What's the body weight?
95 kilos.
95. What's your body weight, Rob?
99.5 as of this morning.
No, you've had Doreen since then.
101.
Yeah. 2 kilos of saurine. What's your best mile time, Pete?
I've never actually done a straight mile, but
Yeah.
my 5k is 16:42.
16:42.
Yeah.
Jesus. Right.
Back.
Beating my 5k time.
What did you say you did a mile and a half, Rob? 6.
I'll dig it out because it has to be. It's on the record. My 5k was 17:17, but I got beaten by a guy with a buggy on a park run. 15 plus 37 seconds. Oh, sorry. So 2:33. You know.
So it's total time, not lap time.
Yeah, it's shout out total time.
Total time.
No, you're left-handed.
Very good.
That's not bad riding for left hand.
Okay. And then
Calligraphy.
the last one
Oh,
doesn't
so
matter.
3, 2, go!
So as you're watching this, everything's going to plan at this point. Obviously, we're 150 meters in. Plan here is for me to kind of set that pace, set that stride length without having someone in front of me kind of dictating my stride, if you get what I mean. There's a natural want or a subconscious synchronization of stride when you run with someone. So obviously Pete's a fair bit longer than me, has a very, very nice running stride, but it's just slightly different than mine. So for the first 200, I set out at my pace, set out at my stride length, and then Pete took over at 200, and we continued on from there. So everything looks quite good here. You'll see the difference between like somebody who's good at running, good at maintaining their stride. They're nice and relaxed, particularly in the upper body, very, very relaxed. Rob correctly said I looked like a rugby player sprinting for a ball when I was running, and I don't think he's too far off there. So that's the first 400 meters, around 1 minute and 10 seconds. It's actually 409 meters because we just added the 9 meters at the start to make up the mile. At this point, just overheating a small bit, cramping up, that kind of lactic buildup is there. I tried to address it by just raising up, getting a small bit more oxygen in, but it's really not working, and I just pull the plug here, right? So you'll see us stopping quite soon, and then we have to stop, address, readdress, and go from there.
When you have to clean them.
Fuck that.
And they're like, you can't use Scotch Brite, obviously, because you're going to...
So now onto the easy part, and you'll probably all recognise the shed. We are, of course, in the Southern High Performance Unit of Sika Stan. You'll probably recognise the training partner too. So Gurph is just going to go kind of squat for squat with me here. It's probably a bit slower paced than what I've been doing for the session so far, but to be honest, it was pretty bang on. So just starting off with the empty barbell. Gurph takes a fair few more reps than I do, but that's absolutely a-okay. So 70 kilos is the first loading. Everything at this point feels pretty good. All the stimulants I've taken for running are still heavily in action in my system, so it's all good. My heart rate's actually still pretty high. It's around 40 minutes after the run session here, or just a bit less than 40 minutes after the run session, so we're pretty much straight in. The shed is nice and warm. It's the middle of the day and it's time to get after it. Nothing will have changed for anyone who's watched any of these squat training vlogs over the last few weeks. This will look pretty much identical to all of those sessions. Maybe a few less reps in the warm-up. There'll be a person taking reps in between each of my sets, but besides that, it's pretty much identical. So 70 kilos, then straight to 120 kilos. Then next we have 160 kilos as always. As I said in last week's training vlog, started using a powerlifting belt just this week. Small but more support, small but more rigid. It feels very good. As all leather belts do, but particularly those slightly wider leather belts, I think they feel very, very good while squatting anyway. So yeah, as I'm warming up here, we're literally just chatting away, nice and relaxed. This is by far the easiest part of this attempt for me. So we have 190 kilos on here for the fourth set of squats. Small but kind of loose there, just not paying attention or not concentrating enough. But yeah, you can see Gurph takes 190 for a few reps here. Gurph and Rob actually stayed on and trained a little bit after. So Gurph did some squats and then some deadlifts, and Rob did some deadlifts with him afterwards. Up next, then we have 210 kilos. If we had been a bit more prepared, we probably should have had some clips. The plates are just moving around a small bit at this point, but very happy with how 110 feels. It's kind of a race just to get to 230 and get 230 done. And then, as I explained earlier, hop in the cars, drive for a couple of hours and chill out. So this is 220. So a 25, a 25, a 20, a 15, a 10 and a 5. Perfect. So that's what you might call like the last warm-up, or just the penultimate rep. Gurph takes 220 here. I'm not sure if he does it for a few reps, but obviously these are very, very comfortable for the fridge. Perfect. And then here it is.
Yeah. Woo, woo. legs hurt watching that.
Give it up there, Fitzy.
Squat went well. Much weller than the run on the track did. So why are you looking to the camera like that?
Because I can't see the lens.
So yeah, squat went well.
Don't focus on me, babe. Just focus. Say your words.
It's hard when things are changing. Squat went well. Now we're gonna go chill out for a while and do a run this evening.
How are you feeling?
Feel good.
What did the squat feel like?
Squat felt very good.
Okay. Any other words?
Velocity.
Alright.
Originally, we were going to attempt this on the track on Friday. If it went well on the track, we'd go and squat in the shed at home Friday evening, get it done, nice and handy. We'd have the weekend free. If it didn't go well, which it ended up not going well, our original plan had been we'd load the weights into the Jeep, we would drive down to the west coast to Kerry, and then we'd kind of rest up for the rest of the day, hit the run quite early in the morning, and then hit the squat sometime in the afternoon. So a similar kind of run to our layout to how we ran it last year, right? The advantage of doing it in Kerry, completely openly and honestly, is it's a straight, small road that has a slight downhill incline. I'm going to put my hands up and say that 100%, right? It's easier to run when you have a bit of a hill to run down. Absolutely. What ended up transpiring is just due to the sheer kind of load of the day and kind of how sick I was of all the training, of everything I was putting in. Once we finished the track session, and the track session hadn't gone well, I just went straight out home, went to the shed, did the 500-pound squat. It ended up being, I think it's like 507 pounds or something. And then we just, all of us hopped into the cars. We drove the 2 hours down to the west coast. And at around 9 o'clock that evening, I put on my running shoes and I went to attempt it down the hill.
Word of the day, velocity.
He started vaping as well. And
He's just doing the bonus now.
So when he'd be inside, he was vaping, and when he was outside, he was smoking.
So he smokes all the time, basically.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 nicotine chewing gums in a row and started vibrating. It was fucking amazing.
I actually want to give the nicotine a go next time I go for a very heavy squat. But apparently like half a milligram is enough to do something.
Half a tag.
Metrics, or you can tape your foot. You can't have both.
Normal cigarettes. Like they're that bad for you. They're like little...
On the rally we gave them in Kazakhstan, but they used to smoke like basically paper things. There were nothing.
There's nothing in them.
And then they had a
2, 1. Okay, so this is a nice, easy kind of country lane. The thing I like about this road, or why I prefer running on this road rather than a few of the other kind of slight downhill roads that are in the same area, is that it's so narrow that one car tends to take up the whole road. So our setup here is Sherene's actually sitting with the camera pointing out the back of my pickup truck. Rob was running pace for me, but Rob said once the first kind of 400 meters were up, which is absolutely fair, he just let me go and do it on my own. So when we have a narrow road like this, there's a car out in front of you. Gurph is controlling pace very, very well with the car. And it also kind of keeps other people off the road. It keeps distractions away. The massive advantage of this road as well is that there's no potholes, which is incredibly rare for any road in Ireland. Not a mind to say a small country road like this. My cadence is bang on at this point, right? So I'm really, really happy at this point. I'm meeting my markers. So you'll see me at different points along the road. We'd have sticks out, or I'd know the kind of landmarks, maybe this particular house's fence. You'd see me looking at my watch. On my hands then, you saw me writing earlier the different paces for every 400 meter and 200 meter mark, right? So this point we're bang on. Cadence is right. So cadence here is like on my Garmin, what I would say is between 90 and 93. That transpires to be 180 to 186 for most people and how they count their cadence. And everything's going really well up until this point. So we're a minute and 42 seconds in. At this point, nothing is kind of falling apart quite yet. Rob has fallen back. Paulie is behind me on the scooter, which is perfect. And then Sherene is roaring at me from in front, right? And this becomes more and more important as we go through.
Keep it up, keep it up.
pretty happy here. No kind of major heel striking, no massive footfall really. This is kind of good running stride for someone with shit running stride, i.e. me. So this isn't by no means now where we kind of has anything gone badly. That was a halfway point we just passed. So passing the halfway point to 2.5 minutes when you're trying to run a 5-minute mile is pretty ideal, right? So everything is going well here. Quads are pretty cramped at this point. You'll see me running like a toddler who's after shitting in their nappy, and that's not too far off what it looks like. So quads are pretty pumped at this point. It's been a long day. We ran on the track earlier that day, squatted, and then hopped in the Jeep and drove for 2 and a bit hours, right? So still striding on down at this point. Interestingly, at one of the points coming up now, you're going to see me looking at my watch. I think it's around the 4-minute mark. I look at my watch and I see that, fuck, I'm at this mark. It's at this time. And the pace drops down slightly. When you look at the graph of the run later, you'll actually see a massive dip. And it's just like a subconscious, this isn't going well. But have to kind of pick the pace up again afterwards. So now I understand I'm under pressure. This is kind of 90 seconds left in the run, or what will end up being 2 minutes left in the run. You see the stride starts to loosen out here, right? So particularly going from side to side, or how uncontrolled my feet are as I'm striding down here. What's causing that? That's one of our distance markers there. What's causing that is a combination of things, right? So fatigue is obviously a massive cause of it. Size of quads just like pushing against each other and rubbing against each other is a massive cause of it. But the other thing is that as you're going down a slight decline like this, the camber or whatever the road isn't perfect, right? So from side to side, how the road might be falling off or tilting out towards the ditch. Obviously very important for you to drain water off the road, so you can't have a road that's perfectly flat from one side to the other. Camber of the road affects it, but also the downhill decline of the road affects it, right? So imagine if you're running on a perfectly flat piece of ground, then suddenly there's a bit of a decline. Your foot that's reaching out in front will have a different length of stride than the other. And that's kind of what's happening here. You see the stride starting to deteriorate. We're now coming up along that 5-minute mark. And this is kind of hellhole territory here, to be honest. I know I haven't made the time. I know what distance I have left. I really don't want to run this last piece, but I'm kind of just going on fumes here. And this next 15 seconds, followed by the next 2 hours, is probably some of the worst time I've ever had in my entire life. So you'll see here, you have a car left at the bottom. My watch actually beeps before I get to the last mark, which lets me know my distance is up. And then I stop. I fail to stop my watch. Having watched Fergus Crawley stopping his watch and then falling over the line, I was obviously very, very paranoid about not doing that. But that said, I think it comes up at like 5:35. The lads were stopwatching this in the Jeep, and they had 5:37 or something around then, so somewhere in between those. Either way, it's no way close, right? And that's just what it is. So obviously, like, a huge amount of work went into this, a huge amount of time went into this, a huge amount of sacrificing of other things, sacrificing things here with Sika, sacrificing other things for the last kind of 4 or 5 months, and it sucks, right? It's a big kick in the ego to go and try and do something like this and then not do something like this. You know, it's a big challenge. Last year I think was different. Last year I had an injury, physically couldn't do any more, you know. This year again, somewhere around that kind of kilometer to 1.3 kilometer mark, I just lost it. Like that pacing just lost it. There was no way of pulling it back, which sucks. Now, the original plan, as I said, had been to load all of the squatting gear into the Jeep, go down west, rest up overnight, then do our run in the morning and our squat afterwards. Would that have changed the run time? Maybe a small bit. Would it have taken 30 or 40 seconds off the runtime? Probably not. That's just the reality of it, you know. We wouldn't have had time to wait until it was like completely dissipated of fatigue. It would have had to be the next morning anyway. Do I think doing it at 9 a.m. instead of 9 p.m. the night before would have made a difference? Probably not. Particularly considering how bad my sleep was the night after doing this, i.e. no sleep, staring at the ceiling until around 5 a.m. I don't think it would have made a massive difference, you know. And sometimes you just need to kind of roll with the punches. If you throw your hat in the ring, sometimes you have to jump in there too. So that's the nature of it. And there's a massive amount of people who helped me along the way here. They're not all going to get thanked in this video, and I'll try and do my best to thank them over the next few weeks. But for everyone who watched the vlogs, for everyone who's been kind of following along on Instagram or following along on YouTube, thanks very much for everything. Sorry we didn't get posting about this a small bit earlier. As I said, this is a terrible video to have to make. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try and attempt something like this yourself. If you do want to attempt something like this yourself, by all means get in touch. There's a running and squatting program that will go out for general sale with Sika quite soon, but do get in touch if you have any interest. We'll be talking about what's next on the agenda for Dara Fitz's training block over the next few weeks. If you have things you think I should try or try and attempt, please put them down below. There's a lot of people have been saying try the Litvinov workout, as nobody's done that yet, where they actually do 8 squats and then actually do a 400 on a track afterwards. Maybe, who knows? Do I want to be that heavy? Really, no, I don't. That run time is perfect. That run time is right there. Do that run time an average of 30 times a week. 8 front squats at 180 kilos certainly isn't there right now. I'd probably have to add 20 to 30 kilos to my front squat 1RM before I try it. So yeah, if you've a suggestion down below as to what to train to next, right now for the next few weeks, I'm just going to heal up, put some arnica on my ego and go from there. Thanks again.